We could have homes on separate coasts, go dive in Greece with squids. Could have been so bleeping rich, but instead we had kids. They won't smile for a photo, they won't eat the food we choose. That's why we're heading to the Parents' Lounge to drown ourselves in booze. Every day we're more exhausted, we haven't slept in years. They hit me in the nuts so bad, my eyes filled up with tears. And yes, we'd like to fake our death and go off of the grids, but the truth is we are softies and we truly love our kids. So join us every Tuesday night to laugh at all our pain. Evening in the Parents' Lounge is the cure to staying sane. Welcome to another edition of the Parents' Lounge Thursday night. I got to tell you guys, I'm loving it even more. Jamie Kaler here with my partner in crime, Jason Gowan. The newest member of the Parents' Lounge, kind of our social media guy extraordinaire, Ben Duff is here. And our guest for this evening, who's become kind of a regular here. You know him from America's Got Talent. He's one of the premier impressionists in the world, I would argue. And he is fantastic. Mr. Jeff Goldblum is here.
Yes. I'm here. I'm there. I'm everywhere. I'm much like a Beatles song, except no. Oh no.
Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Rupple from America's Got Talent. He is in Phoenix this Sunday at Stand Up Live, one of my favorite clubs in the country. I love that place. Justin, great to see you guys. Thanks for coming in tonight. I don't know why I'm in a good mood tonight. For some reason, just fed my kids. I made them rice-a-roni with hot dogs, but added the vegetables. I steamed some broccoli, some green beans. I sliced up some carrots. And then I gave them a nectarine as kind of a little bit of a dessert. And then I gave them their iPads, and now they're set for like the next hour and a half, and we can rock and roll.
I think that's all human beings need.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the rice-a-roni and hot dogs were, you know what I have to do? I have to give them the vegetables first and then literally go. And she goes, hey, can I get that hot dog? And I go, eat that broccoli, dude. And she's like,
Yep.
Yeah. You gotta, when you feed children, by the way, Justin doesn't have kids. He's just our pal who reminds us of what normal life is like.
I'm writing it down though.
And,
Here's the thing, Justin. It's a lot. I have a Chihuahua, and it's very similar. It's a very similar. I know. That's why I thought. So honestly, if you ever decided to take the parenting train, it's not going to be a lot different for you. Same kinds of stuff.
Okay, so let me see if I'm going to describe my Chihuahua.
Okay.
And tell me if this sounds like parenting. All right.
Yep.
Okay. You can't figure out what they want, even though they're making lots of noise.
Correct.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you've fed them and you know for a fact they have no more pee or poop in their body, they still manufacture more pee and poop and want more food.
Circle gets the square.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Here's the third one. This might just only be Chihuahuas. Late in the night, you'll be awoken by what sounds like crying, only for you to wake up, and then they go back to sleep, just like it was no big deal.
It's like you're here. It's like you're literally in my home.
You're very, very close. Yeah.
So puppies are like babies that you don't get in trouble if they die.
Well, okay, let's.
They still frown if you leave either one of them in a hot bar.
Step too far.
Okay. I mean, you can't lose a kid and just go down the pound to get another one. It's not how it's. I mean,
well, not in this country.
Well, let's check in with Ben. For everyone who doesn't know, this is our pal Ben Duff, who has joined the Parents' Lounge family. And he is a father of 2 children. Ben, you've been on the show before chatting a little bit. Let's talk about your predicament.
Yeah. So I have, just to recap, I have 2 kids. I have a 17-year-old, which is weird to say when you have like a 17-year-old, because it just makes me feel that much older. And my 17-year-old has severe autism. He's nonverbal, and we have a lot of behavioral issues and some rage issues and some things like that. And so he's a big kid too. We just took him to the doctor this afternoon, and he weighed in about 235, 236.
Oh,
and
he's do some damage.
Yeah, he's a big dude. And
do you lock your doors at night? Do you lock your bedroom door at night?
No. I actually, sleep has been a big issue. I mean, when he was little, he wouldn't sleep for days. And so, and we've had some of that recently, not as bad, but generally I just crash on the couch. For years, I actually slept in his room, like on the floor. And so, my back's all kind of jacked up.
You're a rock star. I mean, I have a 10-year-old who's only like 75 pounds, and I bolt my door shut at night. They'll come in, dude, and just sit over you. It's like a haunting. Yeah. It's terrifying. And so, if you had a son who was, severely autistic like that, I'm not sure how great I'd sleep. I would be kind of a little.
I have twins, and I don't sleep well because I'm always worried there's going to be a Menendez brothers thing happening to me.
Dude, that's why guys, they always tell me, they go, hey, don't you wish you had boys? And I go, girls, except for Lizzie Borden, don't typically kill their parents. So, no.
Well, I will say this. Your typical horror films are not large males. They're now tiny, ominous females singing like children's songs, like la 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 la. Yeah, that kind of
Megan
stuff. With a British accent. Is that right, Justin?
Right, and they're making kind of like drastic movements, like they're glitching. So yeah, I could see why you bolt your doors, Jamie.
Also my girls are redheads, so that they are
they're straight up children of the corn.
Yeah,
they are gonna kill somebody before their life.
Bloody Mary. I mean, come on.
Yes, thank you. Honestly, I should have named them Bloody Mary. That's really funny. Hey, I want to check volumes real quick because I feel like Justin's soft. Is that just me, or is he just soft, or is he speaking very quietly?
I can raise his
mic. So Ben, that's what's awesome. We kind of connected over this because Jason's sons are nonverbal as well, and going through it, and that's how we kind of connected because all of a sudden we chatted and you had so much information, and it was funny because I didn't know that whole world existed.
Yeah,
and then you guys, it's very, very common and prevalent nowadays. So it's really kind of cool that you guys can share that info because there's so many people out there who are probably dealing with the same type of issues that you guys are going through.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we've been at it for a long time, and Ethan, my youngest son, is whole different game. So that's kind of cool to have that.
How does he react with his older brother? How do they interact?
So it's it's a little bit tougher. Obviously, there's a big age difference. We kind of waited a long time to see what's going on. Ethan is like just pure energy. He's got a big imagination. He just talks all the time. And so like he always wants to do stuff with Brian, but it's just Brian doesn't quite understand. So there are things that they like, the one thing is, Brian still really likes cartoons. And so like they can watch some cartoons together and, there's some cool things there. And we try to do it's called like play therapy. Passing a ball back and forth, simple stuff like that. But yeah, it definitely, I think anybody like looking from the outside in would be like, oh my gosh, what's going on? But I think we're just kind of so used to it. And I'm sure Jason, you kind of feel that too. It's just like, it's just your day. It's just the way it is. So you just kind of go with
alcohol pretty much is just carrying me at this point. Like it's all alcohol all the time. Just to like literally, this is mostly rum at this point.
Well, What's crazy is even the ice cubes are made of rum. Like he's like, I don't want to waste.
I froze them. Yeah.
I don't want to waste space on, and it's really hard to freeze alcohol. By the way, you got it.
Yeah.
He has like a subatomic freezer.
I have a nitrogen cannon that I just make all my own.
Just for rum cubes.
I wasn't going to survive any other way, Justin, and I had to go that extra mile.
Some dude's delivering liquid nitrogen to his house, going like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm freezing rum," and he goes, "Oh yeah, that makes total sense."
I like the idea that he shows up and goes, "Nitrogen," sees Jason, and he goes, "Rum cubes." Like it's a foregone conclusion. He just and he's like, just give me the damn nitrogen.
Hey, I want to take a second and say hi to our regulars, Narcolepsy, already in, cracking super funny jokes. Our buddy Freddie B. Hang on 1 second. I'm gonna share something really quickly with you all. Our pal Freddie Ballesteros, who is the woodworking master. I'm showing this, and if you're listening to this on iTunes, you're missing the video.
Whoa! Definitely
come see us. So here's what he made for me. This is the most amazing thing. It's really cool. It's a piece of beautiful woodworking with my name on it. He monogrammed this thing for me, Taylor.
That's really cool.
It's kind of an interesting thing. It sits on top of the bottle, and then when you're ready to do some bedroom banging, you go, "Here's my bottle of wine." Well, honestly, Justin, here's the problem. You're gonna need a 3 glass holder. Johnny Rupple, he's gonna have to go. Listen, I need 2. For those of you who don't know, our pal Justin Rupple, impressionist extraordinaire, is also a member of a thruple. So while Ben and Jason and I tell you the woes of our having too many children, he'll tell you the woes of having one too many wives.
Yeah, indeed, and also the thruple, not a thruple.
It's because did you tell me you trademarked that term? Did you trademark it yet?
First of all, hold on. Let me.
Is there merch?
Not yet. Well, here's the thing. I got sent a video today. Someone showed me a picture of a place that had a thruple T-shirt. I'm trying to show you my tattoo.
I saw the picture of that on.
If you're listening to this on iTunes, he has.
There you go.
Is that your wedding finger? Yes.
It's my wedding finger.
So it is. Oh my God! So if you're listening to this, he has a tattoo of the word thruple. Here's what's weird. You didn't go around the finger. You went up the side of it.
Oh, he muted himself somehow.
You muted yourself somehow, but that's
hold on. Can you hear me?
By the way, Justin is calling in from Indiana, where he's doing stand-up. Ben is in the top of Michigan, basically Canada. Jason's in from Pennsylvania, and I am in from beautiful California tonight. Here's Freddie B.
Can Justin, you hear me okay?
I do. Here's from Freddie B, who made those. We got to put a link to his stuff, dude. Freddie, your woodworking stuff is phenomenal, and I can't thank you enough for sending that to me. That was super cool.
Yeah, that's really cool, dude.
He goes, Justin, I do have a 3-glass design ready to go. And he's going to call it the Trouble. I love it.
Oh, I love it. Well, here's the thing. The last name is Rupple, Rupple. And thruple is TH comes from our partner's last name is Thornhill. So even before we actually called ourselves thinking that it's a thruple would be spelled a THROUPLE, like couple, but with a thra in front of it to mean 3. Ours is just my last name and her name, and so we just slammed them all together. And
have you trademarked it yet, or you?
I don't know if you. I guess we have to.
You can trademark that. You can trademark it.
Okay, so
true. Thanks,
you need to be. There needs to be a merch table for you at your shows.
One of my favorite stories in history is that apparently Pat Riley trademarked the word three-peat. Did you know this? Ben, did you know this?
Yeah, I've heard this.
No way.
He trademarked the name three-peat. So anytime any team wins 3 in a row and tries to make a T-shirt and say three-peat, they pay Pat Riley. They send Pat Riley money. Isn't that crazy?
Didn't Michael Buffer do that with Get Ready to Rumble?
Yeah.
Too?
Yes, he did.
He did.
And listen, for those ones I go, sure. But then some idiot in like Kansas is like, I'm trademarking popcorn. Dude, you can't just trademark. Like people have tried to trademark.
I appreciate
like,
you calling me out.
Yeah.
Paris Hilton tried to do That's Hot, I believe.
That's
back
hot.
in the, That's hot.
I mean, that's kind of hot.
If
that's your catchphrase, yeah. Michael Buffer, and he has sued people who have have done that and gone like,
well, his brother. Yeah, his brother. God, his brother has got what a chip on the shoulder that's got to be. Bruce and Michael, right? I mean, Bruce is let's get it on or something like that, or it's fight time. No, it's so silly. Oh,
yeah, you read it.
Wow.
You read it as Jeff Bridges.
So any night Justin and his wives go 3 rounds.
Oh wait, you're doing his Goldblum. You're doing his Goldblum.
Who did you want me to do it?
No. This is
he said Jeff Bridges.
Pat Riley. Let's do it as Pacino.
So any night, the Justin and his wives go 3 rounds. They pay Pat Riley. He slicks his hair back, puts the grease on the bed, slides down, safe, 3P.
Hey, while I have you here, I understand you trademarked hoo-ha.
Hoo-ha! I did. I also traded what and oh no.
What would Jeff Bridges trademark?
A lot of ins and outs. I traded in and out, which was weird because the spelling is very different, man. I don't want to go into it, but it's there. You get it. First of all, if you're just listening, you don't see that Ben is packing wood. But
by the way, read Narcolepsy. Look what Narcolepsy told you.
Trademark. Oh, let's get ready to throuple.
There's your new entrance song,
dude. Right, Freddie says it, dude.
Wow.
So here's what's great. Justin is coming to do our we do a Parents Lounge live show. Yeah. And normally Jason and I have to we have a lot of material. We procure and we write and we put up this amazing, it's like a 2-hour show. It's insane. We have a bartender on stage. We do this crazy theater, 300 people, 2 nights. Wow. It's crazy. And then we asked Justin to come and now Jason and I we're like, what are we gonna do this year? And I go, oh, we're just gonna keep queuing Justin to go. Hey, what would Phil Hartman say to his kids on Christmas?
Matthew, here's the deal. I went out and I bought you some toys, and then I put it all on black, and it turns out hookers are much better than Nerf guns.
This is going to be the easiest show I've ever done. I'm literally just going to show up.
I'm super pumped for it. So just VIP tables on Saturday night are gone.
Whoa.
Yeah,
they sold in like the first 2 hours, the VIP tables.
Yeah.
And I told Jason, I go, just add more VIP tables.
It's just becoming VIPer.
Even some guy's going to show up and go, hey, I'm VIP. And they go, you're in the back row.
Your audience
VIP.
From all the shows I've done, your audience on the StreamYard chat and everything is really funny. Like everybody is like
this. It's a killers. I mean, Narcolepsy is a monster. We keep reaching out to go, hey, come do the show, dude. Come do the show. But some of these guys are just they're like snipers. They like to just shoot from 1,000 yards out and take a guy down.
I'm telling you, man. I have so many friends in my life who are not comedians who make me laugh until it hurts, and I always say to them, "Come on stage, like just come on one time, just one time," and it's like I'm offering them heroin. They're like, "I can't do that." You know what happens?
Some people aren't good on the road, brother. I don't
get a little taste. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of the road, our other guest who he was a little late tonight because he had to coach a kids soccer team is here. I don't know how much we can talk about. We SAG-AFTRA's on a strike. I work on his show. He's actually my boss in a way. He's on a show about say there was a city in Washington State.
Issaquah.
No, it's a different
Bellevue.
city. No. No, you want to try again? I believe it's
SeaTac.
Oh, the second half of that.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Thumbtack.
Yes, exactly. And say you had here was their pitch for the show, which is quite arguably the greatest pitch ever for a television show. What if we had a fire department in the rainiest city in the United States? That's how they sold the show. Honestly, Broken Lizard, Beer Fest, Club Dread, Super Troopers 1 and 2, a litany of shows. Traveling comedian extraordinaries. I love this guy. Steve Lemme's here. Hi, Steve.
Hey, what's up? Hey.
Oh gosh, the mustache is back in full view.
Yeah.
It's Groucho Marx.
The show's called Tacoma FD. I'm just clarifying.
That's right. I was wondering about that. So I'd forgotten.
It's on right now. I'm not.
Tacoma FD is on right this second. And if you aren't, by the way, if you don't have it recorded, then I want you to turn this off and go record the show. It's on True TV. Season 4 is airing now, and all the other seasons are on HBO Max. It is, aside from My Boys, it is the funniest and most fun I've ever had in this business. And we talked about it before, and everyone's like, "Oh, you can't." I go, "I don't give a Those guys have brought me into this world. I'm so thankful. And dude, this season is so blindingly funny. So anyway.
Thank you. It's great. Now, I heard you guys talking about, Justin was talking about trying to convince people to get up and do stand-up. I've had the same thing where they look at me like I've got a tree branch growing out of my head, and they're like, no fucking way. I have to say, though, because they're terrified. They're terrified of going up there and bombing. But, there's an irony there, because I found that the very first time I ever went up on stage, I had to do 15 minutes. And I went out there, and I thought, like, my first joke, I was like, this is going to fucking kill. And I went out there, and I threw it out there, and it was a fucking brick.
Where was this? Where and when was this?
This was in Los Angeles at the Improv Olympic.
And you'd already done, like, you were already kind of a movie star off of Super Troopers. Was it after Super Troopers?
Yeah, this was like 2010.
Oh,
and,
it was like 2 weeks ago. And actually, it was earlier tonight. That's why I'm late. And I still hurt. From it.
Well, but like Broken Lizard, we were going to do a stand-up tour. Yeah. And only 2 of the guys had ever done stand-up. And so it was like, oh, fuck, here. All right, we're going to try this. And so we were each responsible for 15 minutes. And I went out there and I bombed. But I'd been so scared to do stand-up my whole life. And I went out there and I bombed. And I came off stage. And I was like, that was fucking incredible. That was amazing. Like, and actually, the irony I've always found is that when you're stand-up, you're sitting there, you're putting your 45 minutes together, whatever it is. And then you can do it in your sleep. And then, and now you're just kind of connecting the dots. Whereas the real thrill of stand-up comedy is trying a joke out for the first time. Yeah. And if you get the laugh, that's awesome. And if you bomb, it's also a very powerful feeling. Mm-hmm. But like, I found bombing for 15 minutes to be the most powerful moment I've ever had in stand-up. But did it hurt?
I remember bombing and then going like, I was like, I can do this though. I didn't bomb and then go, ugh, I'm done. I can't do this. Like, I bombed and I was like, I am getting on. I was looking for sets later that night. Like, I was, that I have that stupidity where I smash my head against. I go, ah! How many times have you done a show where everyone else bombed and you were supposed to go on and you're like, I'm gonna own this room. And then I bombed. And I was like, all right, I didn't.
Here's what's interesting. And Steve, tell me if this is the way it felt. It's only the first minute of the bombing that sucks, because it's like that first minute, it's kind of like when you jump into cold water and then you pee on yourself and you're like, oh, I can warm myself up. Because the times I've bombed in my life, and if you were there with your boys, bombing with your team there, then what happens is you just look back at them, and when no one's getting you, later on, you and the team of comics that you're there with are going to laugh about the bombing so much.
So, do you know he's an impressionist? Do you know, Steve, that he's America's guy? So here's the deal. He has a hook and a gimmick. So he starts bombing, and then all of a sudden he goes, and then you start bombing as Mark Wahlberg. And how does that go?
Absolutely. Dude, why are you bombing? You seriously bombing right now? Dude, I'll tell you, just get down, just push-ups. Then lift your shirt up and be like, hey, you want to eat some sushi off my abs? You totally want to.
See, you want to right now. Then he's like, and then he's a bomb. So for an impressionist, it's like a guy with a guitar. I'm like, God damn, I wish I had
Hold on. Steve, what did you want to say? Because you were going to say, I wanted to hear what you were Hold on.
First of all, that's bullshit. Don't fucking take that from him. Don't take that. He's saying we've got a built-in safety net. That's not fair.
I totally believe it. It's like a guy with a guitar.
Yeah, but I
do play the guitar. What I was going to say. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was when you were saying like bombing for the first minute, I think you do have to get to that place. I think you have to bomb a number of times and succeed a number of times so that you know that, like, okay, if I'm bombing, I'm still out here. Let's enjoy it. Let's use this to get strong.
Yeah.
Because there's something really comical about bombing.
Yeah.
I wish I was the people I've known who are really good at it. They do very well. I've watched people eat absolute shit and then come off stage and go, that went pretty well. No, it didn't go at all.
Every time you see that happen, you're like, well, that's an amateur. The pros are like that I ate shit and I know it.
A lot of
there's some crazy. I've hung with some crazy comedians and I'm like, you fucking bombed. You bombed. Wait, what's happening?
His son's singing. My hook is I can make balloon hold on, let me tell you this. One time, you're gonna love this, Jamie. One time, if you think that an out is always an impression, one time I got, when I was real young, I was like 25 years old, and a club had me hosting all the time, and so I was the club host. Mm-hmm. And so one time, Faison Love was on the show, and he was in movies with Vince Vaughn. So in between comics, I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go backstage and introduce myself as Vince Vaughn, since I do a Vince Vaughn impression. And then I'm going to come on stage and just be Vince Vaughn. And the owners of the club are like, don't do that. Don't. It's especially not on a show.
Sounds pretty good to me. I think it sounds good.
What proceeded to happen was the worst bombing of my entire life, because I went backstage and the guest comic comes off and I go, ladies and gentlemen, now welcome to the stage, Vince Vaughn. And they're like, oh my God, Vince Vaughn is here. And I walk out with a different haircut and a different suit jacket, doing my stupid Vince Vaughn impression, which is stupid now because they're expecting him. And I'm like, hey, babies, I don't even know how's it going out here. Ha, 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 ha. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Anybody want to ask questions of Vince? And my entire act was depending on them asking questions.
They hated you. You were the least.
By the way, can we hold on? Read. Hey, you got to read this one. Our buddy Winnie Schrader is here, and she wrote. So there you go.
You motorboating son of a bitch! Look at you. I see you right now. You're taking me. Am I to do the ass out hug, or do I come in for just a tip, just for a second, just to see how it feels?
Do I have to hold your hand like a small child and lead you through? I still, to this day, the two of them, Wedding Crashers, it's the most glorious. A buddy of mine works at a production company. They had a sequel ready to go, Wedding Crashers 2, and nobody could agree on it, and they couldn't. It fell apart. Yeah, it fell apart.
When they gave me the light, when I bombed that hard, I audibly said out loud in breaking character, I went, thank God. And they kept that tape, the owners of the club, and played that for me anytime my ego got a little high. They just loop it little. Thank God. It's just the torture. Because,
Hey, can we talk for a second, Steve Lemme, about your hat and your rhino dart? Because I had some of them at your 4th of July party. Sure. They are delicious. They're only in Nashville right now. Are they starting to spread around the country? So Steve Lemme, in the vein of Ryan Reynolds, who has gin, and George Clooney has tequila
and coffee.
Who else has liquor? Somebody else has a liquor.
The Rock has Terramana tequila.
and Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg has
holy
water. I believe it's holy water. He prays every day to his holy water.
You guys are forgetting Kid Rock.
Kid Rock?
No, we're not forgetting him.
American Badass.
He's American Badass. He shot up Bud Light, and then he got caught at a stadium drinking a Bud Light like 3 weeks later. But Steve Lemme has this rhino dart, which, by the way, is absolutely delicious. And it's called Rhino Dart. It's exactly what you think it is.
Oh, because it takes down a rhino.
Yeah. This is meant to close out the night. That's how we invented it.
Is that the slogan? When you need to close the night out, Rhino Dart.
That's what it was. Is like when we first started, my buddy started making these things. It was when like you're at the end of the night. He's like, you know what? We need some rhino darts, and he'd make them, and we'd go bananas.
That's genius.
And because basically it was like an extra strong margarita, but he would put wildflower honey in it so you couldn't taste the alcohol. And you'd be like, this is fucking awesome. But it's not meant to start a party, which is what happened.
No.
And that was people were pretty fucked up.
Let's just say, what would happen if you did start a party with it?
I did. The 4th of July, a few of us did. I got there and he goes, here, have a rhino dart. It's like 2 PM. And I was like Will Ferrell in Old School after he got hit with the trank dart and he falls into the pool. I was like stumbling around going, dude, I'm hammered.
You're crazy, man. You're crazy.
But honestly, it's really good. It's kind of got, we got this like health feeling to it of like, it's like, oh, is this like a health drink?
Well, you don't taste the alcohol.
Yeah.
Steve, if your slogan isn't, it can take down a large farva, I don't know what you're doing with the marketing. It takes down a large farva.
It feels like a lawsuit from Heffernan coming. And by the way, Heffernan was going to come tonight, but he couldn't make it. But we're going to have Kevin on soon.
And Kevin's a lawyer, so he's very litigious.
Did you know that? Hey, by the way, you go, oh, Kevin Heffernan, he's the goofy guy, farva. Passed the bar, practicing lawyer, New York City.
And Connecticut.
Colgate. And then he went to, I don't know where he went to law school, passed the bar, was practicing law when they made Super Troopers, I believe. Is that
no, Puddle Cruiser. Not even at that point. It was like he passed the bar and then gave the law. He gave up the law and started. He almost didn't take the bar, and his dad was like, why would you bring the ball to the 1 yard line and not punch it in? And so he was like, fine. He took the bar in 2 states, passed, and then never practiced law again, though he was a paralegal for a little while.
Oh, yeah. I thought in my heart, it was he was so smart that he saw you guys were all going to be super famous and passed the bar just to get y'all out of trouble. Like in my mind, that's the way it went.
Well, you see him and Steve and you think, oh, these 2 goofy idiots. They're show running Tacoma FD, wrote a good hunk of the episodes. I think, did you guys direct every episode this season, the 2 of you? Almost all.
9 out of the or 11 out of the 13.
Yeah. And so you're like, it's like the Jerry Lewis where you're like, oh, that guy's an idiot. And you're like, no, he invented the video playback, right? Like Jerry Lewis,
right?
Pretty big director and like writer.
Jerry Lewis, he's the one who came up with the martini. They call it the martini shot.
He did create the martini guy. But here's the thing: looking back, I never wanted to be Jerry Lewis. I wanted to be Dean Martin. I wanted to be the Dean Martin guy. I never wanted to be president. In junior high, I ran for vice president, and everyone's like, "Why would you do that?" And I go, "He doesn't have to do anything. It's just a title." Like I would love to be vice president.
I wanted to be Jerry, man. I wanted to be Jerry so bad, but I looked and sounded like Dean, but I wanted to be Jerry. That's what I wanted to be.
Do you do impressions of those? Do you do Jerry Lewis or Dean?
Of course, but I'm not in proper Jerry. It's a lot of standing and playing. It's a lot of.
It's been so destroyed by The Simpsons that it's pretty hard to get over at this point.
It's a lot of. What I did watch the other day was him in the ring with. Was it Marciano? I can't remember who he was in the ring with, but him jumping around and the boxing was incredible. Like his physical comedy, Jerry Lewis's physical comedy was unmatched. Have you guys ever seen the typewriter bit he did?
It's so good. It's so
good, yes.
It was out of their act.
Yeah. Typewriter.
Think about how famous they were. They were Beatles famous, at that. I don't think that's possible anymore, really. You can't.
No, it can't be.
Like Mr. Beast has whatever 40 million followers, but at that time to be that famous, I watched that Brooke Shields documentary. Those days are over of like being that famous on Earth. Everything's so niche and whatever all over the place.
Well,
unless you're Taylor Swift.
Unless you're Taylor Swift.
Yes.
Musician.
Well, she might be the closest we'll ever have to Michael Jackson again. I mean, in that way. Yep. I've never seen a reaction.
My friends went to see her show and took her daughter, and the tickets were $1,800 a piece.
That's crazy, dude.
I still remember Fast Times at Ridgemont High when Damone is like, "Where were you? I had Van Halen front row for $10." Like, we went and saw Stevie Nicks and Billy Joel, and I got the tickets for face value in the $380 a piece.
Yeah.
When did tickets get that expensive for concerts nowadays? It's crazy, right?
Well, I think the answer is actually, have you seen a Taylor Swift concert?
Well, apparently her show is ridiculous, but I don't care, man. $2,000 for
I'll tell you when. I'm going to tell you when. It's the internet. It's when you could start buying tickets on the internet, and the government could start. Remember, ticket scalping used to be illegal because the government couldn't regulate it. Now they can take their cut.
Yep.
And now all these ticket sites can jack up every fucking ticket to whatever they want, and it's legal because the government to take a piece. That's what happened.
Do you know? Right. This is crazy. I actually got arrested in college for scalping. I haven't told this in fucking million years. For Bruce Springsteen tickets. Here's how it happened. It's the 80s. I'm in a Sears and Roebuck in Manchester, New Hampshire. And I don't know if you remember Ticketmaster. You're too young, Justin. Lemmy, maybe. Ticketmaster was in the back of Sears.
Yep.
It was a little booth in the back of a Sears. I happened to be
not old enough.
I was going to BU. Yep. It was my first year there. And I was in the back of a Sears in Manchester, New Hampshire. And over the loudspeaker, like they used to do at Kmart, with like blue light special, they said in the Sears, they were like, Bruce Springsteen tickets going on sale in the Ticketmaster in the back. I go, what? I run to the back with my mother, who's I'm going to college. And so I buy a bunch of Bruce. I buy 2 nights. I buy 4 tickets for 2 nights. I get to college. I don't know anybody. It's an hour drive to Worcester from Boston to get
Worcester.
It was in Worcester. That's where I went to jail. I went to jail in Worcester, Massachusetts. This is the craziest story of all time. So I go the first night. One guy, I get one guy from the dorm was like, yeah, I'll go or whatever. And so he gives me and so I go out. I have 2 extra tickets. I go, well, I'll just sell them in front of the stadium at the Worcester Centrum. And so I'm out in front, and the guy goes, all of a sudden I go, hey, I have 2 extra tickets. Bunch of people come up, and one guy goes, I go, they're $80 or whatever. They were probably like $24 at the time or whatever. And all of a sudden, some other guy goes, I'll give you 100. I'll give you. And all of a sudden, it starts going up in price. And I'm like, I'm 18 years old, and my head's exploding. And I go, yes, sure. And as soon as he pulled out the money and handed it to me, and I handed him the tickets, click, the out of nowhere, I didn't even see it coming. The handcuff went on my arm. And I go, what? And he goes, you're under arrest. I go, for what? And the crime was resale of a ticket more than face value. And
did they make this into an after school special?
Yes. Yes.
I think I saw this
one. I believe
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman. Yeah. It was Jason Bateman and his sister in a love triangle. It was very
it's illegal to resell the tickets. Yeah. You can't be doing that. Illegal. Okay.
So I didn't know.
Don't get a cut. Not fair. You're gonna spend the night in jail. Okay. Can't hit your tea time in the morning. Not gonna happen. Yeah.
Thanks, Jason. Where were you in 1980? I don't even remember what year.
I'll tell you where I was. I was doing my taxes. Okay. Floating the whole family. I don't know where you were.
So I go to jail. I get arrested in the paddy wagon. I go to jail. The other guy who's with me is like, what do I do? Because I had all the tickets. He can't even get into the show. I go to jail. I'm in jail with a bunch of other scalpers, and they all were laughing at me, all of them, because I was the only person selling real tickets. They were all selling fake tickets. The scalpers were rolling laughing at me. They hold me in jail until the concert's basically over, right at the end, like 2 hours or whatever. And then they release me. I don't know what to do. I'm out. I'm in Worcester. So I call my cousin who's he's at Worcester Polytech out there. And so I call him and I say, hey man, this is what's happening. I got arrested. And this is like payphone. There's no cell phones. There's no cell phones whatsoever. And so I call him. He comes and gets me out of jail. I go to a frat. He takes me to his school. We go to some crazy frat party. We're hanging. This story goes so. We're hanging with a bunch of girls. It's kind of a good night. I'm actually like, it's turning into a really good night. My cousin falls downstairs and breaks his ankle.
Oh, Jesus.
We go to the hospital. We get out of he gets his ankle set. They cast it. We get home. We get back to his dorm at like 5 a.m. It's like like one of those, no one has a cell phone. It's like one of those insane nights. And long story short, I had to go back out to court, pay a fine for scalping tickets. And now every time I see like Ticketmaster resell a ticket for like 12, 15 times the price of the ticket, I want to put my fist through a wall.
It makes you think about the glory days.
Sorry. Luckily, I had bought both nights. I actually went back. I went back the next night.
That's the
and
salvage.
saw the show, and it was Born in the USA. It was that tour. It was the Born in the USA tour.
God!
Oh, nice.
Taylor, it's the same thing we just spoke about. It's like weed dealers. There are people who went to jail for a very long time for dealing weed, and now because the government decided to legalize it because they can take a piece and they need that money, it's legal.
Hey, you don't have to show off the whole.
I know what
foyer.
A flex, man.
Go back, walk back, Steve. Walk back.
Do not walk back, Steve.
Walk back.
Please.
Show
don't
everyone
don't show him.
If you're listening to this on iTunes,
you
wish you were part of Broken Lizard, because this is the kind of riches that are afforded to someone of that kind of comedic talent.
Please tell me this is Alabama.
He wandered through. I'm surprised the butler wasn't in a fucking tuxedo behind him holding like a tray of drinks. Dude, that would have been so gold if you were like, and they're all rhino darts. It's just rhino darts on a tray. He's like, Mr. Lemmy, another rhino. He's like, no, Jeeves. No rhino dart tonight for me.
We don't use butlers anymore. We use AI. We've got robots.
You got a robot deliverer.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I was thinking, it just occurred to me, I was thinking about these times we've bombed on stage. And I remember when I first started doing stand-up comedy, I was so excited. And like all of a sudden I was doing really well. And this is like within the first, yes, I own Ticketmaster.
Dude, narcolepsy dropping bombs on people. That's so good. Wait, where's it? You missed the Jodie Foster? I
put it up earlier, yeah.
I don't see him.
He said Jodie Foster's the kid you sold the tickets to. But go ahead. Bombing. Go back, Steve.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So like, all right, I'm going to try to tell this story quickly. So I told my agent, I was like, holy shit, I love doing stand-up comedy. And he's like, well, you're doing okay. But like, remember, you're performing in front of your fans. So they're really easy to make laugh. And I was like, it's that same thing that you're talking about, Kayla, where it's like everybody's bombing and they coming off stage and like, it's the worst crowd ever. And you're like, I can do it. I can kill it. And then you go out there and like, they fucking suck. So he's like, well, you should get out there in front of a crowd that doesn't know who you are. And I'm like, fine, whatever, I'll fucking kill. And so he set me up at the Improv on Melrose for a teen tour. And on a weekday in the middle of the afternoon. And now here's the thing. So my set, this is really like the first 2 months I'm doing stand-up comedy. And somebody was like, just, what you should do? Find a story, like a story that kills. And like, that's the story you should tell. And you can build a stand-up comedy routine that builds up to that story. And I was like, okay, that's a pretty good idea. And I had this story about how I was renting a house in Santa Monica, right on the beach. And right when I moved in, like on the second day, I heard a woman like pleasuring herself through the wall. And she was like, oh, and so like, I listened at the wall. I was like, holy shit. And I pleasured myself. I was that excited about this racist woman. And every few days when I was like, I'd hear her there doing the same thing, and I'd pleasure myself. And then it was like, ultimately, I'm just racing to the punchline. Finally, like I was like, let me see if I can see in her window. And I leaned all the way out my window to look into her bedroom window, and I heard the oh coming from above, and it turned out it was the pigeons cooing on the rooftop above me, and I was beating off about the pigeons. And so that was the story.
That's a good bit.
It was a good bit, and it's it's nicer when I focus on it. But the point is that so then my first real set was all about masturbation and how like, and it's as teenagers, as part of these teenage boys, you never admit it, even though you're all dying to go home and beat off. And like, it was just a whole fucking 15 minutes of masturbation material leading up to this pigeon story. And I get out there in front of a room full of like kids from New Jersey who were like, they took a school trip to Los Angeles and to Hollywood. And I go out there, I bombed so fucking hard, and like the girl, but like worse than bombing, like the girls.
Listen, I've done teen tours. Everybody bombs on the teen tours, but anyway,
the girl what?
The girls are looking at me like I'm fucking hideous.
You are. You'd be canceled today. If you did that today, somebody would post a clip and you'd be canceled. Steve Lemme of Broken Lizard talks about jerking off in front of high school kids.
But
was Chris Hansen in the wings, or waiting for you after?
Yeah, that's so funny. Chris Hansen just walks out.
Why don't we have a seat?
Wow, it's weird, Steve. You walked on stage with some Bartles and James wine coolers and a box of condoms and started doing jokes. And
Steve, tell me about these pigeons.
Well, I wish he had been there to get me off stage faster, because I did the whole 15 minutes, and like it was like the girl, like, and teenage girls can't even hide their disgust.
Like,
this is. So that reminds me of a crazy story of my window in Santa Monica that I've never told, and except for close friends. I've never told this on stage, but I lived in Santa Monica, actually 3 doors down from Whitey Bulger. I used to see this old guy with white hair and a beard and a Red Sox cap walking his dogs, and I would go, "Hey, Boston!" And he'd go, "Ah!" Turns out it was Whitey Bulger, 3 doors down. When they came and arrested him, I was like, I wondered why that guy didn't say hi to me. It was Whitey Bulger.
And 3 doors down from then, the band 3 Doors Down.
3 Doors Down was down, and then 3 Dog Night was actually a block over. So the whole thing it fell into place. So my window one night, I had a tiny 1-bedroom apartment, rent controlled apartment, and I look out the window, and the other building. You know how I miss those apartment buildings where it's like 4 feet apart, and you can see right into their window, and in the other window is a woman on all fours, naked, totally nude. She's 15 feet from me, tops, on her bed, naked. This is like not even late at night. It's like 6 or 7 in the afternoon. And there's a dude fully clothed, and he has an electric razor, not like you're trimming your hair, but you are like an electric shaver. You can't make this up. You cannot make this up.
Why would you want to?
Why are you admitting to this now?
He has a shaver, and it wasn't sexy. It was like a guy, like spray washing a car.
Shearing a sheep.
He was shearing a sheep. He had a face. He was so disinterested to what was happening. He's like, it was almost like she was like, seriously, you have to do this. And he was shaving the whole undercarriage.
Yep.
Like cleaning it, like grooming it. Like he was detailing a car. He was detailing, and at first I was like, "Oh Jesus!" And I jumped back from the window, like I'm not supposed to be seeing this. And so I pulled the curtain down and I just left like a half inch. And I must have sat there for like a half hour and watched this dude. He was angry. He wasn't enjoying one, and neither was she. It was almost like this had to be done. It was like a task. And he was grooming up, under, down, around. And she was on all fours with, you know how you
well, I mean, I feel like that would make it easier if they were going to go all in on it.
I was like, part of me, I wanted to be aroused, but I was also, part of me was so angry that he wasn't, nor was she. I wanted to yell across the little 4-foot alleyway to go, dude, you got to get into this. Dude, commit. I totally forgot this until you told that crazy. I remember I did call a couple friends and go, dude, you're not going to believe what I'm watching right now. This is the most insane thing I've ever seen. And he was like, just grooming. He was like,
maybe that's what he does for a living and he doesn't want to bring his work home for it.
He doesn't even live there. She hired him and he showed up like a masseuse as a groomer, like a pet groomer.
Oh my God.
And, should I cancel the sheep shearing tour for when you're here?
No. I'm already signed up. I'm already paid on that one. I'm involved on that. Have you guys ever been I think I do think that's what is so like my kids watch these crazy videos where somebody's talking over somebody else. Like they're showing a TikTok video and then there's a girl is like, oh my God, is that a squirrel? Is that squirrel running up a tree? And she has like 24 million followers. It's Sniper, S Sniper or whatever. And my kids love her videos. And I do think there is something so enticing about voyeuristic behavior. Like we are drawn into watching other humans do crazy things, right?
You guys have heard about the NPC trend on TikTok, right?
No.
Oh, you guys.
Oh, when the people imitate video game characters.
Yeah. Well, on lives, I don't know if you guys have seen on TikTok or Reels, there's these weird videos going around where people are I can't remember this female rapper style influencer. She's popular for going ice cream, yum, put hat, flowers, and she's doing weird hand motions. Well, when you are on live TikTok, you can get GIFs. They send you GIFs, and a little animation pops up on the screen. But some of them are kind of snipe. Yeah, my daughter loves it too. Yeah,
of them are it's crazy what these kids love.
Right, but some of them, they're making 2K live right now. What they're essentially doing is people are giving them live GIFs that simulate them doing things that you could kind of mime sexually. So let's say I give them an ice cream cone, right? Or they'll be like, oh yeah, look at that. It's a dumbbell, right? And so the gift is, and so it's the first time that TikTok hasn't been able to, we can't get rid of this person because they're technically not breaking the rules, but it's very sexualized. And so you'll just be scrolling through TikTok and there'll just be somebody going, ice cream. And you're like, what the fuck is happening? And they're making $3,000, $4,000 an hour by doing this. You keep scrolling through, you come back there sweating like crazy, making GIFs, because what's happened is there are bots that people are paying to live viewers. And so they're dancing for bots, paying them real money.
I'm
probably actually my AI robot that's doing
Steve,
it.
do you think about this?
Well, I mean, no. I want to, though. I mean, that sounds like I'm trying to figure out, because my brain doesn't work like this. My kids.
Hold on, narcolepsy. Was it last week we were talking about the blue?
Yeah,
dude, let the blue waffle go. We're not doing blue waffle anymore. We're done with the blue waffle.
What's blue waffle?
Don't ever ask that question again. Don't type it into Google.
It's just apparently a two girls. It's a two girls, one cup kind of.
My targeted ads got really bad, Steve.
Yeah,
don't
blue waffle is apparently blue waffle is a two
Stop
girls.
even saying it. Stop even saying it.
Yeah, don't say.
Just don't.
So don't say turquoise pancake, whatever. Don't come in.
Because I'm going to go look after this.
I know you are.
I know, but I don't want to be the one responsible, Steve.
You won't sleep. You won't sleep. It'll be like The Ring, where they'll find you in a closet like, because you saw the blue.
7 days they'll find you dead in the IHOP bathroom.
Is there blood involved or an animal?
The word prolapse is involved.
Then good. I don't. Now I know, and I don't.
Good.
Honestly, I wish I didn't want to hear that word.
Azul, I have. Dude. Bloop.
When's Narcolepsy's joke book coming out, dude? Do it on your work computer for added fun.
Well,
by the way, Jay Check's a teacher, so I'm sure he'll be fired any moment.
It is so nuts to find out that what you're saying is true, is that the live streaming and the live look into someone's life is really attractive right now, because everything is so easy to be made into a story that now people are craving the very I'm watching them sleep.
I would argue
we're all headed towards the real life Truman Show.
Yes.
And I think human nature, we are drawn to that. We love to watch other people interact, whether without them knowing we're watching, right?
Yep.
Like that's the lure of The Invisible Man, the book. That's the lure of it.
But I don't get it, because like my kids are watching, they've watched Mr. Beast. They watched a guy named Sunday who did what was it? Among Us. And now they're, I don't know the name of the guy, but they're watching the version of that. There's a game called Rainbow Friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're watching that. And the guy is just telling them what's happening on the screen that they're watching.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's what Sniper does. And she has 24 million followers, which means, Ben, what's the math on 24 million followers on YouTube?
A lot.
I would say tens of millions per year, right?
Oh, yeah. I don't want to say the guy, but you can look up who it was on YouTube. A YouTube, Vine, Instagram star messaged me, and he's like, "Why don't you come make some videos with me?" And this kid is 22 years old. Okay, he had 40 million followers on TikTok, and on Instagram like 26 million. I went out to his house. He picked me up in his Porsche S Cayenne and his 911, and he bought every house in that cul-de-sac. And I was like, are these your houses? You know, these are content houses. This one was owned by Mountain Dew. They bought it for us. And I'm like, what do you do here? And he goes, every day our goal is to make about 5 videos. And so I bought my sister's house, mom's house, yada yada yada. I was like, what?
The money's stupid, dude.
Mr. Beast has like a whole subdivision that he bought.
Oh, and he's got
Carolina. Yeah, his last video, that 50 million views in like 36 hours or something.
What does that make? What does 50 million views in 36 hours make? How many millions?
A lot.
I know a lot, but how much? Like literally how much?
Well, I know somebody said that if he were to sell, like these Wall Street guys, like if he were to sell his entities, like what he does, they would tell him to sell it for about 500 million.
Yeah.
But now, Mr. It's funny because I had this conversation with Kevin Heffernan, who plays Farva, the other day, because we were talking about like, all right, how are we going to get creative to promote our show during the strike? And I was like, dude, TikTok.
Wait, hold on. What show? Tacoma FD, which is on tonight every Thursday on True TV.
It is called Tacoma.
That's
FD.
the show you're talking about. It's in season 4. It's also on HBO Max.
Yeah,
Does it feature an actor, Jamie Kaler, as Captain Polanski? Is that the show you're talking about?
Yeah, he's the best guest star we've got. He's going to be in 2 episodes this season.
I've seen that show.
The last 2 episodes. He's the closer. He comes on to close the show out.
He's talking right now. Yeah.
Yeah, he's all right. He's funny. He's pretty funny. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay. But so we were having a conversation about. I was trying to explain to him about TikTok. I was like, it's kind of the front page of social media, and all you do. I was like, you can just do dumb shit, like there are 2 girls doing a dance routine. We could just come out and do a dance routine, just and you can split screen it. We can see theirs, and then we can look at each other and then try it. And like that's a fucking video. And he was like, you know what? I don't want to do that shit. And I was like, well, hold on a second. I'm like Mr. Beast. My kids watch Mr. Beast. This guy like makes videos. He's got, like he just makes all this content and he's making money and he gets the word out there. And he's like, let me tell you something. I don't know who that guy is, but he wishes he was doing what you're doing. I'm like, no, he's not. And he's like, no, he wishes he had a TV show. I'm like, no, he doesn't. He has a better TV show because he can do whatever the fuck he wants. Like I've watched now with my kids. Sometimes he'll have a game show and families are competing for $100,000 and he does that. Other times he's just dropping shit from a crane. Other times he's giving people their hearing back and giving people money. And I'm like, actually, what he's doing is he's got complete control. He can do whatever he wants. And he's making a shit ton of money. I was like, our goal is to try to get 2 million people to watch our TV show. He's got fucking 20 million people watching every week. He's that famous. And he's like, Kevin was like, well, maybe he's the wrong example. And I'm like, yeah, he's the wrong example.
He is the wrong example.
Well, listen, if Mr. Beast was 52 years old, yes, Mr. Beast wishes he had a TV show. But my kids, they don't think that way. It's the same as like when Sid Caesar was doing TV in the 50s and movie stars and movie people were like, television, what the blank is that shit? And all of a sudden TV was the deal, man, because it's over. These kids they're making so much money on YouTube. Why would they ever go back to TV?
Well, here's a fun game to play. So by the way, I have found some comfort in this because like when I was a kid, we were watching like Three's Company and Too Close for Comfort, and it doesn't really matter. My father, who is from Argentina, as Jamie knows,
yam. He likes eggs and yam.
Yeah, he would come in to the room, wouldn't even look at the TV, and he'd be like, "Hey, what a stupid TV show are you watching now?" And I'd be like, it's fucking Three's Company, and he'd be like, it's a stupid. And he was totally joking. But every show that he ever walked in, the Incredible Hulk, the Dukes of Hazzard, he's like, what is this? A stupid program you are watching. I have found comfort. I'm like, holy shit, I can do that with my kids. And every morning, like before school, they're watching fucking this Sunday. They're watching the Rainbow Friends guy. And I'm like, this show is so fucking stupid. And they're like, you don't get it, Dad. I'm like, I'm dumber just for watching it, and you're dumb for watching it. And I'm like, holy shit, I can just insult my kids because of this new trend.
Yeah.
Watching somebody talk about a video game that's being played.
My father never watched TV, and I didn't realize it until years later because the problem was you couldn't pause it. There was no recorded. Like if my father wanted to watch a show Thursday night at 8 p.m., he needed to be in front of the television Thursday night at 7:59. And if kids were like yelling in the background or something, you can't pause the TV. And so I think the dude just lost it. He was like, I can't even deal with this crap. Because nowadays my kids, when a commercial comes on that they can't like fast forward to or something, they start throwing shit at the TV. They're like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was the power of that box though. Well, it's like when the commercial break happened, you had to fucking run to the bathroom or run to the kitchen. And people be like, it's coming back on. And you had to.
We got the luxury of that. Everybody in this cast right now was part of the modern TV structure. Yeah. But if you go far enough back to the beginning of the sitcom, Burns and Allen, right? The birth of the sitcom, George would come out in front of a red curtain and go, hi, everybody. I'm about to do a play. My name's George Burns. This isn't really real. My real wife is Gracie Allen. We're going to go pretend that we're husband and wife, even though we are.
Well,
Tonight it's brought
I don't remember that. He said that?
Oh, yeah. Seriously. And from each episode, and then he'd go, tonight we're sponsored by Winston Cigarettes.
That's right.
And Carnation evaporated milk. So we're going to do some
lead.
Of the... And so, like,
sponsored by lead.
And he'd go, are we asbestos? Are you covered? Anyway, and then the curtains would open up, and he would walk back to like a circular stage, and they would do kind of like like they'd be like, hey, Gracie, and then like halfway through the first act, she'd go, have you had your cigarette today? That's right. Winston is a full flavored cigarette, and that's what we're doing now. That's what TikTok is now.
Yeah.
Everything is what I just said. It'd be like if my successful videos on TikTok are ones where I go, I'm about to show you 15 celebrities in the car. So I'm doing the burn setup, and then I go, here they are. Boom. And at the end, I go, here's the thing I'm selling. And they're like, good. He was honest with me. He didn't bullshit me. He didn't say, you know what I really like in the morning? They don't want that anymore. They want it raw. They're like, do you like the product? Good. Get out of here. Great. Is it a thing? Is it funny? Tell me what it is. Yes, no. And then because everything's so instant. And
that's a famous, Kirk Douglas has a famous quote.
What's the wait, hold on. What's the difference?
Here's the difference. That guy back then was the only guy doing it.
Yeah.
And so
that's true.
And
he had to go through this whole labyrinth to get to do that.
Yeah.
Now anyone can do it, from anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would come off stage. I don't care if he was married or not. He'd go and he could have any woman in the country. Or dude. It doesn't matter. He was the most famous dude in the country.
That's right. And now, you're right. And now there'd be like 10 million people watching, and they could all talk about it the next day. Whereas now we can mention the person you just said, and we don't know who the hell that is. That is, and that is so crazy.
We have 57 million subscribers. And I still I didn't know Mr. Beast until recently. And somebody said Mr. Beast. I go, I never heard of him. And they go, oh, dude, he's a monster.
You heard about that kid they arrested for inciting a riot in New York? He's some video game streamer.
I'd never heard of him.
I hadn't even heard of him either. And he gave away some PlayStation 5s and they arrested him for inciting a riot. I'm like, see, it's easy to incite a riot and get somebody arrested, but
he doubled his followers overnight. That's inherently
oh my God.
The problem. The one little girl, Little Tay, they came out, there was a thing, Little Tay's dead. And I was like, oh, that sucks. I'm sorry, who's Little Tay again? And they were like, oh, she's a huge influencer online. And I go, oh, now I know who Little Tay is. And then 2 days later, oh, Little Tay's alive. Did you not know Little Tay's alive? And I go, I didn't know who she was. I didn't know she had died. And now I don't know Little she's Tay. Alive. But I guarantee, here's the problem is, we're creating this society where you're driven to do the craziest thing you can do to draw people in. People are running on stage. They're throwing things on stage. They're looking for the viral moment. They're looking for that 1 second of I'm going to fuck the world up for 1 second so that I can get everyone to look at me. And it's a train wreck. Rome will fall.
Here's the problem for us. Is that whenever we talk about the new thing,
I know
we don't like because it's different from the way we had to do it. We're the old fucks.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
And we sound like the old fucks.
But you can't.
Well, here's
any of those people who
way to go, granddad.
Yep.
Well, that's the problem.
Okay, boomer.
Well, here's the good news, because I'm just a couple years younger than you guys. I think by 2 years than you, Jason, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm in Trine University, and I'm at a campus where there's 18 and 22-year-olds, and the good news is you will like this version of it, because all they want you to do now to be funny. When I hear the older generation be like, it's so hard to do comedy now, I'm like, no. All they really want you to do is just really be really honest. Don't set up, punch. Don't do anything. Just tell them how you feel. Tell them what's going on, what really happened to you, and embarrassing quickly, And as long as you do that, you're okay. Because I've done 107 college shows in 3 years.
Right.
And every single one of them, I can't do regular jokes. If I go into regular jokes, so the other day I was doing that, oh, jeez, no.
It's a different sense of humor.
Yeah.
It's the same. When I first came to town, I remember I was at the Laugh Factory and everyone was doing autobiographical Richard Pryor stuff. And Tom Dreesen got up, who's arguably one of the greatest comics ever. He used to open for Sinatra.
Yeah.
He's older. He's 20 years older than me. And I remember watching him and he was doing 1960s jokes.
I went into the doctor.
Yeah. He was doing that era jokes, and we watched him. It didn't go great.
Yeah.
Because the audience was like, hey, old timer. But his art form was so great, it just was out of fashion. And the same way our art form is growing out of fashion too. But I will tell you, I feel like I'm still current. There's a lot of new artists I really appreciate. But I will tell you the negativity of some and the literal lack of talent on some of the people. We're confusing numbers of followers and likes with talent. Like I shared a video with you guys of this group called Almost Friday.
Oh yeah.
And they're making like shorts that are feature films that are so well crafted and drawn out and shot beautifully, horizontal, not 30-second vertical clips of me just doing insane shit, which is what we've been talking about that is garnering views, but actually like crafting a story and telling a story that you have to pay attention to. And there's a beginning, middle, and end. And I think that craft will eventually come back because that is storytelling. And we've got lost in the moment of this just insanity that people are following and liking that are making people a shit ton of money. But I do think that will eventually fade where people just, you can't survive on that.
Here's the good news. The people who are just watching stuff, they need those makers. They need those creators to have something to watch.
Yeah.
And the people who are, when you're like, there's no talent, there's nothing happening. I don't want to make it sound sad, but what those people really do is they offer a digital friend for people who have nobody else.
I do think that's right.
That's really perceptive, dude. That's really,
I
totally agree.
Exactly.
There's a lot of, I find the only people when I'm like, who's watching the guy who's going, what's happening here? Okay, what's he doing? What's going on here? And I'm like, that's literally, and they're just watching like an internet video of something really happening, but there's this just like attractive person, guy, girl, whatever. Yeah. And they're sitting there, they're like, oh, did that just happen? And they have millions of followers. And then the other day I got really high, and I was like, "What? Oh my God! I know what's I know." I was like, "What? I know what's happening. These kids don't have a cool friend, and these people are attractive, and they're sitting in the nicest chairs, in the cool lighting, and they've got all the stuff they want, and the headphones they want, and their hair looks nice, and all this stuff, and they're like, oh, did you see that, man?" And they're looking right into the dead camera. Did you see that, bro? And they're like, I did. And in order to see it, all you have to do is pay him a little money. And then when it ding, then the follower goes, oh, thanks, Brosef22. And he's like, oh, that's me. Oh, yeah. And now there you go. That's it. That's all it is. That's like
you just gave a TED talk, and I loved it. You're absolutely right, man. It's not entertainment. Sure. It's voyeurism where people want to be. And when I got into acting, I didn't want to be connected to everybody on earth. I just wanted to do my craft and move on. Yeah. But it's not the way it is. You have got to be eyeball to eyeball and connect with people. And then they feel like, and that honestly, it's been a problem with stalkers and people feeling like they're entitled to like Drew Barrymore's life and go like, well, remember we connected online. I thought we were friends, and it's like we're not. No, dude, it's not how.
Bro,
it works.
I'll make you guys feel really good though. I do impressions, and when we're talking about the millions of follower peoples, the streamers or whatever, no one ever asks me to do an impression of Mr. Beast. No one ever asks me to do an impression of any of the streamers. No Jake Paul, no any of the Paul brothers.
What about the Broken Lizard guys? Can you do the Broken Lizard guys?
But that's my point.
Yeah,
is. These kids today, when at the end of my set, I'm like, hey, just shout out impressions. And they said, do Arnold, do Walken. The references, I've had several references to multiple Broken Lizard films. They are watching what their parents watch. Yeah. And their parents are us, 40-year-olds, 40-plus-year-olds who are like, when I was 25, the cool shit was the stuff that was the last generation of what we're talking about. So there are no new impressions under the sun. All the good impressions are done. So that stuff is the stuff that we will, you're right, eventually circle back to, because now we've had kind of a secondary market of it. You know how it's like, they call it the Uberizing of capitalism.
Steve, what do you feel about it? You feel the same way about what, I mean, because we're it's so funny. It's a parenting show, but we were gone so far off base. But it is true because we're talking about
back to kids now.
Kids.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same way about, what entertainment now?
Well, it's like, I mean, look at Barbie. It just made a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
And like that, truthfully, more than ever now, I'm starting to believe that the movies will still be the movies traditionally because, well, people are going to do, because here's what's happening. Like, from a creative standpoint, if this was like when we were coming up, independent film was the version of the internet. There was no internet, in the 90s. And we were all chasing fucking a couple of slots. We're chasing and a couple of slots on TV. Like, so it was like the state, Broken Lizard went up against the state for that MTV show and the state got it. And then, good for us. We went on and made our first movie, Puddle Cruiser. But then like the state was there, and then it was like Upright Citizens Brigade won a contest and they got a TV show. And
is that how they got the show? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then and Kids in the Hall, obviously were like, after Saturday Night Live was Kids in the Hall, and then the state got their show, but it was like, it was just a few slots. And like, like we became a part of the independent film thing, and that started to grow. And then it was like, there was kind of a stand-up comedy and a sketch like renaissance that started to build. And then there was a period of time before all this stuff started happening where it was like, oh, we're starting to move towards digital video and cell phones, and you can edit things on your computer. And we would talk about how positive that was because like when we were in our 20s, we didn't have any of that shit and we wanted it. Like we were like, God,
that's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you now, knowing what you know and having a group of guys that like to make, and now we just call it content, you'd like to make shows and movies together, but would you think yourself now, if it was the technology you had then, is this a better environment for creativity given that there are no more gatekeepers?
I think so, because like, I'll tell you this, like, like when I sit on the can, I'm scrolling through Instagram. I used to bring my magazines in.
Right.
I haven't read a magazine. I haven't read paper on the toilet in 15 years. And it's like, I wipe down my cell phone because I'm like, I know stuff is like, this is my friend in here. Yeah. But like, there's an art form there. Like sometimes I'm like, let me just think if I could come up with a thing. I'm like, I can't fucking do it. I think in long form. And my wife, like, she'll be like, she's from Miami. She'll show me some sites she's following, like Only in Dade. And I look at it's every fucking current event that's happening and like 10 great fucking memes. Now look, they're one-liners, but I'm like, genius. And it's like, it's a form of entertainment. And then look, the TikTokers, I'm like, so all these kids have a way to express themselves creatively. And some of these things are fucking amazing. The kids in Africa with the goddamn group dances every fucking day. There's a new video. I follow that thing. And it's like all the dance videos. I'm like, this is awesome. Yeah. And then like, there are so many fucking incredible things. Now look, like,
the cream will rise. Always does.
Cream rises, and aggregators will aggregate the best stuff for you. Like I'm not out there surfing the fucking garbage. I'm getting the best stuff, aggregated for me. And so like, it's kind of like porn. When you sit there and you're like, holy fucking shit, there are this many million people every fucking day putting themselves on the internet fucking. They're making money. Like what is happening? Like it's an explosion of fucking.
Apparently everyone on earth has done a porn. It feels like when I go, this is endless supply. And then you find out and you're like, I'm sorry, you're paying for pornography? I'm so confused by the premise.
When we were growing up, you're like, oh, okay, there's 10 porn stars and you see them in everything. And you're like, and now anybody who wants to be a porn star who's got the equipment can do it and make money. And
people will blow up. Like, you see somebody and they have tons of views or whatever. And you're like, but the burnout's got to end at some point where people just grow tired of that. And the true talent, like I told you, those guys, I mean, I don't know if that video, I was like, oh, this is super creative and really well shot. And eventually it will go back. They're going to make films at some point, but other people, it's not their vein. They are like just voyeuristic, talking to camera. It's just a different medium.
Well, but so I do also think that it's like, you can come up with a good joke. I know a lot of people that can come up with a good joke on the spot. And I know that there are these people who can make good dance videos. And there are people who can, look, I got my start in sketch comedy. Like sketch is an art form, and stand-up comedy is an art form, and improv that's a muscle. I've been working. Had this conversation today though. It's like, as a writer, writing TV or film, I'm learning every day. And one thing I spoke to these guys the other day who want to write something, and I was like, fuck, they're not writers. And it's like, it's going to take them time, as it does with everybody. Like, so those guys, Kevin Heffernan has it maybe 10% right. It's not that they wish they could do, they wish they were making a TV show. They're not. But they also can't right now because they don't know how to write long form. It's just a different type of art form. It's like, vive la différence. Like, I guess, like, I don't want to be phased out though. Like, it's like, I don't want TV to go away and movies to go away. If it just becomes TikTok, then I'm going to perish. I'll be waiting tables again.
It will never become just that. And and I can promise you that. And the reason why I can say that is TikTok needs long form. And because the storage system isn't long enough, they can't, they depend on, the internet runs on storage. Right. You see these big giga centers of like, that's the gigabytes. That's all your cloud. Right. So 10 minutes, 15 minutes, when YouTube runs the hour-long things, the storage units to get that going, it's a lot. The reason I'm saying that is TikTok, Reels, all this needs the longer form stuff in order to feed off of. It's a parasite. It's the Uberization of entertainment. Right? You're right. Long form stories with a 1, 2, and 3, a full breadth of where the character's going. It teaches a lesson. That's the whole human experience. What is interesting though, is that the TikTok and all this stuff can make it so that there is a more equitable, long-term, more entertainers than there were before. And the reason is AI and technology is making it so that the vast majority of humans don't need to be day laborers selling their soul away, So like the future might be like 70% of people are just some form of entertainer, like they stream what they do for a living. Yeah. And so what you're doing is checking in on them. I think the future of entertainment is like a Malkovich-y way, like, so I got those Ray-Ban glasses. Have you guys seen those with you just touch the side, or you say, hey, Facebook, take a video, and you'll video. We are one upgrade away from those being live streaming glasses.
Well, what does it sound like when Malkovich uses those?
Listen, when John Malkovich decides to watch it, he will. I haven't done it in a while. It's been a minute.
I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good.
I will not
there you go.
stall with you. It's a lot of yelling.
You know what it is? You know what your Malkovich impression reminds me of? It's like a fine, like my wife makes fresh ice cream at the house, and she is experimenting with cereal flavors. And so what she does is she soaks the cereal in the milk, and then she uses that milk to make the ice cream. And like
Cocoa Puffs ice cream.
Well, so your Malkovich reminds me of the Apple Jacks flavored ice cream, because that ice cream, like, you taste it and you're like, what's that? I know it's good. What is that? And the more you hear it, you're like, oh my God, it's fucking Apple Jacks. And that's what your Malkovich was. I was like, it's there. I can hear it. It's fucking Malkovich.
Bro,
it is
all right.
Malkovich.
If you like the Malkoviches, then let me give you the subtle impressions, because the subtle ones are my favorites. Because only actors like the subtle ones. Here's the subtle ones. When I get over-exacerbated, I sound automatically like Steve Martin, and no one does a Steve Martin. So if for a second I just get a real run-up on everything I do, okay? It's just a little bit of that, and if it's just what you, I would appreciate it. And those are the little ones that's like, okay, no one ever does a Steve Martin, right? So that's a Steve Martin. Check this out. If you take him and get disdain for humanity, he automatically becomes Bill Maher. So if you take this and you take it down, okay, you just get really disdained with it. All right, I don't want to talk about that. Not my fan. It's the same voice, just very...
I will tell you though, like most impressionists have a voice in the higher register, but yours is very low.
Yeah.
You're like, you do manly impressions of it.
Oh, dude.
Like if Steve Martin, like his dick was hairier that day. That's
Hey, how about Morgan Freeman reviews Super Troopers?
I remember the first time I saw those boys. They put that syrup to their lips and they cup their balls. And I thought to myself, that's how you grow hair on your taint right there.
I'm glad we're back to talking about dick hair and taint hair.
That's where we want to be.
We got lost in civilization and entertainment.
Dad impressions. Here you go. My dad sounds like Eugene Levy. And that's how he sounds naturally. Like he just sounds, because my voice it's a low voice, but my dad has like that nasal. All he has to do is go up a little bit, David. You know, Justin, I want to talk about dick and balls. And ball hair. We are talking about ball hair, right?
My dad is from Argentina. And my mom had very hairy armpits, and she was half Puerto Rican, half French, and he dug.
My God,
By
Yeah.
the way, he just turned 90, so it's like it was a different generation. It was the hair. Like if you ever go back and look at the Joy of Sex books,
Yeah.
I don't know if they've redone them, but in those the dudes were bearded like Odysseus, and the women had the armpits, and their bushes were like down their thighs. Like that's my dad's. Like they liked it hairy back.
Yeah, they did. It was a sign of fertility, right? Hold on. Is your dad's accent? Is that how you came up with the Club Dread character? Yes. Oh, I love it so much because from my entire life, anybody who's named Penelope, I call Penelope. Because a Penelope.
Yeah.
He does his dad. His stand-up act is great, and he has a whole bit about his dad ordering. What is he ordering?
So
ham and jam and cheese.
Yeah, jam and cheese. He's fluent in English.
Yeah.
But a few years ago he came out here, and the word for ham in Spanish is jamon, but it's spelled Jamon, jam on.
Yeah.
And he just had a brain fart. He said, we went out for breakfast. He said, I would like a jam and cheese omelet. And the waiter was like, I'm not going to do the whole routine, but he was like, I think you mean to order. And my dad goes, Cht. When you can speak Spanish as well as I can speak English, then you can correct me. A jam and cheese omelet. And I was like, Dad, it's actually, he's like, Cht. When you can speak Spanish, then you can correct me. A jam and cheese omelet. And the waiter looked at me, and I was like, fuck him. Do it. Bring it. And so he did. 10 minutes later, he brought out a steaming hot omelet and put it in front of my dad. And the whole fucking restaurant, like the bus boys were like, the chef was looking out from the kitchen, and my dad took one bite, and like sweat started to roll down. And I was like, how is it? He goes, it's delicious. And he ate the whole thing. And
the ego,
the fucking stupid, the machismo. And driving home, I was like, are you going to admit that you fucked up and meant to order a ham and cheese omelet? He's like, no. And I was like, so you're telling me you meant to order an omelet that was cheese and jelly? And he's like, yes, I did. And I was like, okay, you want to go back and get it again tomorrow? He's like, yes, I do. And we did. We went back.
No.
And he ordered a fucking jam and cheese omelet. I was like, bro, you got to admit him fucking Sticking with the bit.
That's
All right, seriously. Listen, we've
the
been going
second day.
for 90 minutes. We got to end this show. My kids they're on an iPad with their brains melting.
Can I tell one quick story?
Yes, please, would you?
So probably like 8 years ago, Kevin and I had a kid named Alex Schaefer on our podcast. So there was a movie that came out called Win Win. Anybody remember this?
I do. Yeah, the wrestling film.
Wrestling film. It's an excellent movie. Fox.
It is.
Paul Giamatti is a wrestling coach, and it's like
Paul Giamatti. He's a great wrestling coach.
Yeah, and then my favorite Italian actor. What's his name? God, I love this guy.
Yes, yeah. Shit, I can't.
Bobby Cannavale.
Yep. Oh, he's so good. Eyebrows. Yeah, Cannavale.
Yeah. So, and this kid, Alex Schaefer, is the kid who plays the trouble wrestler who comes in. He's boarding with Paul Giamatti for a moment in time because Paul Giamatti realizes he can make money by housing this foster kid.
Right.
But he's also the coach of the wrestling team. And then the kid tries out for the wrestling team and is fucking awesome.
Right.
And they're like, holy shit. They're basically saying, dollar signs for this kid. But anyway, movie did, wonderfully received. And so this kid came in to do the podcast with Kevin. He's like, you and I have kind of met before. I was like, really? And I was like, when? He's like, probably about like 5 years ago. My high school came out to California and we went to a stand-up comedy show. And you did a whole routine about masturbation.
No!
and it was terrible. And you made everybody uncomfortable. And he's like, but I was a huge fan of Super Troopers and I felt bad for you. Good night, bud.
That is long form comedy. Look who brought it home at the end. Oh my God.
I love you so much. Oh my God. That's the callback of the century. Holy shit.
For people who do 60-second videos, you wouldn't understand, but that's called a callback. Dude.
What just happened?
We all saw it coming. I was like, wait a minute, is he bringing this home?
Oh my God.
You landed
when
that
you
plane.
said I came out to California, I was looking around to no one in my hotel room. Like, are you seeing this? Are you seeing? Oh,
nobody paid.
Shit.
Nobody paid you.
All right, hey, really Before we leave, let's have Alan Rickman tell people to follow and subscribe us. Would you, Justin?
Here is the deal. I need you to follow, like, and subscribe to the Parents Lounge. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Holy shit. That's the best one. I could listen to that forever.
Thank you, bro. I miss him terribly.
I don't know anything, but I had such a blast. We didn't talk about anything parenting.
No, nothing.
It didn't matter.
But it worked out okay.
Sometimes it's a break. Sometimes it's just a break from parenting because the parents work way too hard, man.
We don't need to talk about parenting. We've talked about this before. Yes,
I've been on here like 4 times. We've never talked about parenting.
No, and that's honestly why I love having you.
Last time it derailed directly into Hooters and booze.
But here's the deal: when parents are listening, they don't. A lot of times they're like, "Dude, I'm sick of children. Let's talk about other shit." And so, thank you guys. Honestly, thank you to everybody for coming on tonight.
This was so much fun.
I only had one disappointment this week, which was that Steve his wife didn't make a sandwich for us to guess the ingredients.
Wow. But by the way, that was one of the most incredible things. Justin, I was talking about how it was we were talking about Father's Day, how she makes me this incredible sandwich. She's a great cook. She makes me this incredible sandwich and how I had it for breakfast. And like, I think the thing was, I was like, and I actually think she's making it for dinner for me tonight. And Kate was like, giving me a fucking hard time. And all of a sudden my office door opened and my wife walked in and put the sandwich I was right down.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so well timed.
Listen, Steve, we've talked about this before.
Was it a jam omelet?
You chose well, my friend. Obviously, it shows what a fucking mother you are, because your wife's a smoke show, and she also like brings you sandwiches.
Sandwiches down that staircase we saw him walk.
Come on, down in the. I'll have a sandwich in the foyer. Is that something? Why don't we meet out on the veranda?
My Maserati does a 185.
I lost my license. No, I can't. That got sad.
All right.
All right, listen, we got to go. It's been this is one of the longest shows we've ever done, and honestly,
a good one.
I wasn't even going to end it, except I looked up and we've been talking for an hour and 40 minutes.
All right.
So this is a 2-part podcast for everyone who's listening. Maybe 3. We're not really sure. Steve, thank you so much. By the way, Tacoma FD, for the love of God, season 4. This is my episodes aren't on for a couple weeks, I don't think.
I mean, you're going to be in I think we go into November.
Dude, it's a blood drive episode. Well, actually, come on before we do. We'll do that night.
Steve.
The one before is the Kangaroo Court. You show up in the Kangaroo Court. That's an excellent episode.
It's
Steve,
so good.
Steve, Jamie, as members of that show, my uncle is a retired Bellevue firefighter, which is just 2 cities down from Tacoma.
I've done stand-up in Bellevue.
I know you have. You did it at our club Parlor. Yep, the Parlor. I was the host of the Parlor. So I wasn't the host back then. I was in LA at the time. But the point is, thank you on behalf of the Bellevue Fire Department for making them look good. The mustaches are fully on representation. And on behalf of John Grace and his entire team, thank you for the representation.
Then I thank them for their service, because doing this show for the last 5 years, I've met so many firefighters now. And what's happening? Is there somebody over there?
I was trying to point in your direction, but I'm stupid.
Okay. There we go. I've met so many firefighters, and they're solid people, and the stuff they do, people don't realize what they do, and they don't realize what they see, and they don't realize what it does to them, and they don't realize first of all, how important these people are to our society, and the price they pay for being that. So I thank all firefighters for their service.
There's some strong shoulders, man. There's some strong shoulders
these days, and everyone else is running away, but they're running into it. And I have one of my best friends, and my daughter's best friend's dad is a huge firefighter, and so I agree. It's a noble cause, and it's great that they've also kind of drawn. Like, they love your humor about the whole thing. Like,
it's really, you guys are really close to a fire unit. I mean, I'll be honest, as somebody who's grew up around seeing a lot of firefighters, you got really close.
Well, that's what they said. They're like, these hour-long dramas that they all they focus on is like the emotional and like the calls and stuff. But 90% of the time we're in the station fucking busting each other's balls and bored as hell and trying to entertain ourselves, and we're together in the same room for 72 hours at a time. Sometimes they're like, we have to keep ourselves entertained.
So if you're listening, definitely go check out the show, True TV. It's on Thursday nights. Set your DVR. And if you want to watch the first 3 seasons, they're on HBO Max. It's honestly, it's so funny because it's really one of the best sitcoms out there today. I'm just so proud to be a part of it. So thank you to Steve Lemme for coming to join us. Thanks to my pal, Justin Rupple from America's Got Talent, and from the Parents Lounge team, Jason Gowan, Ben Delph, myself, Jamie Kaler. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to follow, subscribe, like, and if you know a parent who needs a good laugh, then, maybe not this show, but other shows about parenting they would really enjoy. So be sure to share it. And we'll catch you next time. We have Pat McGann next Tuesday. We have a podcast out with Jared Reddick, Jason from
we were on the Rockstar Dad Show with Jarrett Reddick and Gary Wiseman from Bowling for Soup.
Awesome.
You can watch on their YouTube right now.
And our last episode is Andrea Barber, and she is that one's up from Full House, and she's on that's on iTunes. So be sure to go over to iTunes and check it out. Although if anyone has sat through an hour and 42 minutes of a podcast episode, you won the prize. Call me, and I'm going to come to your house and deliver a new refrigerator.
Also, come see us live. Come see us live October 6th and 7th in Sayre, Pennsylvania. Justin, Jamie, and I will be doing stand-up comedy at the Sayre Theater. Tickets at BradfordCountyMovies.com.
This is literally one of my favorite shows of all time. All right, we'll see you guys next time here in the Parents Lounge.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.